All right, we want to welcome everybody to the Grit and Grind Sports Podcast. Well, Daryl,
Yes, y'all. Another week down in playoffs.
another week down in the playoffs. Like we always say, some got in, some moved on, and some going home.
Yes, I'm going home to Inventory Monday, something we've been talking about for the last 3 weeks here.
We said sooner or later everybody was going to be on that list.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
Well, Daryl, as I update my list, let me tell you who we have now. And this is the Thanksgiving edition of the Grit and Grind Sports Podcast. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Well, Daryl, I'm gonna do this team last. Northern Nash down the list.
Yeah. Northern had a tough game against Scotland last week.
Very tough game. And I had Scotland winning that game, but no, I had Northern winning. Excuse me, I had Northern winning.
Yeah, you had Northern winning that game.
But Scotland's road warriors. They're road warriors.
Yeah.
They won 3 road games.
And they pulled that game out. And I mean, they won by 3 points. And Scotland they came in, did what they had to do.
And were focused.
Definitely was focused, and they was able to pull a win out. And that is a tough environment at Northern Nash to win a game. And Scotland was able to pull that out last Friday.
It is if your Northern Nash has got to hurt to lose, and you had home field advantage all the way to this round right here.
Yeah.
Next one on the list, Rosewood. They went to Northampton, a road game. We kind of knew the writing was on the wall for Rosewood.
Yeah, because Northampton has just dominated the Tar Road Conference all season. And we've been talking about this team all season long. And Northampton County has just continued to win. And we just knew that was going to be another W for them. And Rosewood had a good season. They made the third round. And, that's something to build on. Yep.
Next one. My team went down, Daryl. They're gone.
What's that?
The Pam Pack from Washington. I've been hollering the Pam Pack since week 1 of this show. How they are the new and improved Pam Pack. But once again, they ran across a team that on the road, it's a hard game. And
the Eagles from Northeastern just took care of business against Pam Pack. It was a high-scoring game on top of that. You're talking about 57 to 47. So Northeastern had to put up 57 points to win this game.
Just knock out the Pam Pack. They'll be back this year.
So Pam Pack, they had a good season and made it to the third round.
And like you said earlier, something to build on.
Yep.
East Duplin beat Wallace Rose Hill in the regular season and won the conference down there.
Mm-hmm.
Played Wallace Rose Hill in their house in the playoffs. Wallace Rose Hill beat them, so East Duplin's heading on.
Yeah. And that was a tough game with the East Duplin losing in that game. But, hey, you got to give it up to them. They made it to the third round. They had a good season. And this is all you could do is look at where you got to. First of all, where you started. Where you started the season back in late August to now, and seeing how far your program has came. That's what you got to concentrate on and what you can build on for next year. Where you want to be next year. Where do you want to have that program at next year this time?
That's right. And that's what's going to segue us into the next team. But one thing about Wallace Rose Hill, they knew they lost the conference championship to East Duplin. And they could have said, this team going to beat us again. But it goes back to what you said from day one, Daryl. Stay focused, do your job, and listen to your coaches.
And then give yourself a chance.
And that's what they
was able to do, is give themselves a chance.
Well, the last team on our list, this one kind of hurts, Daryl. I'm going to let you talk to this team because I know their players and coaching staff are watching. Same thing with Northern Nash. I know their coaches and player staffs are watching. Nash Central Bulldogs. And we went out to that game.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I was just saying earlier, is the same thing with Nash Central. You look at where you started the season, what the program looked like back in August, and to where your program is now. And there was times in this season that y'all could have just easily gave up. I mean, that Northern Nash game, 49-6, I think, you could have easily gave up the season and say, you know what, we got a couple more games left. Let's get ready for basketball season. But you didn't. You got refocused. You burnt that tape. And you got in there and you started listening to your coaches and doing your job. And you got to the third round of the playoffs.
And you won a conference championship.
Yeah.
And that's something that has not been done in Nash Central. I think this team made history as having one of the deepest runs in the playoff, get to the third round.
Yeah.
But if you're Nash Central, and I mean Northern Nash, we don't have to preach to you guys. You guys been there, done that. You know, just losing at home is tough on you because when you got home field advantage, you want to take advantage of every game till you have to get that road game. But for a team like Nash Central to turn your season around, now you got something to build on next season because you went to Princeton and you saw what third round football looks like.
Yeah, definitely.
And now you got to ask yourself this spring and summer, what do we have to take to make ourselves get to that level where people can come to our house in the third round and say, this is how third round football is supposed to look like.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what you want to build on. Now that you see what that third round of playoffs look like, you can start saying, okay, now we need to get the community involved. Now we need to get the school involved. Hey, what do we need to do to improve the facilities? What do we need to do to get more kids to come out and play on the team?
That's it.
Those are the things that you got to start concentrating on next season because now you're done proven, hey, we were able to take this team to the third round. Imagine what we could do if we can get 10, 15% more participation on the football team to where we can have a deeper roster, to where we can have more players on the sidelines for us. Those are the things that you can build off of. And those are the things that you can sell to your school. And this is just an upright for Nash Central as far as going forward. I see for them.
I mean, Nash Central, I hate to use your two bigger brothers in the conference, but this is what Southern Northern done. Southern especially. They lost in the first couple rounds, and then they wrote the recipe of how to get to a state championship game.
Right.
Nash Central, you're on the right track right now.
Yeah, on the right track.
Northern Nash, you're on the right track.
Yep, definitely on the right track.
Well done. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said, speaking of track, I think it's time for us to get started with the show.
I think it is, Darryl. Well, like always, this week, Darryl, who was our grit player of the week?
Well, our grit player of the week is coming out of Northeastern. Their running back, E.J. Gallatin, had 152 yards rushing against Washington Pan Pack last week. We talked about this game earlier. They wound up winning 57-47, and he played a big role in that game for them. So he gets my grit player of the week. And Sean, who's your grind player of the week?
Well, the grind player of the week, we got to see him play last Friday night down in Princeton, North Carolina at Princeton High, home of the Bulldogs. It is number 24, the junior, Brandon Turner. 17 carries, 200 yards, 4 touchdowns. Darryl, we can both testify and witness that and last Friday night, we heard number 24's name a whole lot during that game.
A whole lot. And he was definitely all over the field for them.
All over the field.
You can tell that program has each year has gotten better.
And they built
to get to this point where they are now. And you can just tell by the facilities,
everything. The field,
the fan base, all of that
fan base
played a big round for them. So, yeah, they definitely got a good program down there.
Well, I think for the first time again, Darryl, this week, when we both were looking at our notes, I think we got another team that makes history for the second time on this show.
For the second time on the show, yeah, we got a grit and grind team of the week.
And that team is out of Northampton, the Northampton County Jaguars. Won 34-16 to advance to the next round.
Yeah, they beat Rosewood Eagles 34-16 last week. And we have been talking about this, and we're going to go into this game shortly, but Northampton County has just been doing their thing all season long.
And this was a game
that
I saw this game on paper. I saw a lot of people going with the line. Rosewood actually had the advantage on paper. So a lot of people picked Rosewood, but we've been saying from day one, Northampton County, one of those teams that played at Toronto Conference.
Yep.
They beat everybody in their conference. They had a tough non-conference game. When they beat Kip Pride, that kind of opened up my eyes like, okay, this team is going somewhere. This
team is definitely going somewhere.
And we said we might as well go ahead and jump into it, Darryl, because they're on the collision course. We've been saying from day one, on the collision course, play Tarboro in the playoffs. And right here in our coverage area, this is the last game in our coverage area. Here's Tarboro and Northampton.
All right, and this is going to be our game of the week. And we have it as Northampton going to be playing, looks like they're playing Tarboro, Sean.
The
something
Vikings are
we've been
top
talking
girl.
about all season.
We've been saying since week one, these two teams on the crash course to play each other.
Yeah. And you got Northampton County coming out of Tarboro Conference champs, 10-12 overall, 7-0 in the conference. And like we just said, last week in the third round of the playoffs, they beat Rosewood 34-16. For me, the key players for Northampton County starts with their running back. Number 8, Anthony Harding. He had over 218 yards rushing in that game against Rosewood last week. And looking at them on film, what stood out to me was that offensive line for Northampton County. Those guys were able to push Rosewood's defensive line right off the ball. And
when I watched this, what they were able to do.
Yeah, and that just opened up the door for Harding to just run. And like I say, he ran for over 218 yards. So it's going to be a tough game.
It's going to be a tough. I did some research there on Tarboro and Northampton. First of all, for Northampton to get to Tarboro, they got to drive an hour and 1 minute down I-95 and make a left on 64 where it merges down there around Nashville. And then when you ride down 64 there, you see, soon you get to Edgecombe County, soon you get to the line of Tarboro, you know what you see?
What's that?
You see this billboard that says 7-time reigning and defending state champion. And I asked somebody the other week when I was in Tarboro at the gas station. I stopped at the gas station and was talking to somebody. I said, why does the Vikings of Tarboro have that billboard up? And you know his answer was?
What was that?
We want to separate ourselves from North Edgecombe and Southwest Edgecombe. Let you know, yeah, we're in Edgecombe County, but we are the standard of football in Edgecombe County.
And they have been making a statement for years down there.
For years. Now, this is one of those games when I did the research. Northampton County, they dress 31 guys. Tarboro dresses 45. Tarboro has 12 running backs listed on their roster. Out of those 12 running backs, they have racked up a total of 3,713 yards. Northampton had, like you said, 2 running backs.
Yeah.
And when I looked at Northampton, unfortunately, one of the running backs is the quarterback who rotates from quarterback to running back. And the other running back, guess what he is? He's the quarterback. So he rotates from running back to quarterback. I mean, Northampton, I'm not playing on Friday night, neither are you, Daryl. So we don't know what can happen. And we always going to say our favorite cities. Give yourself a chance.
Just give yourself a chance.
That's all.
Honestly, with these two teams, both of them run the ball heavy. They are a heavy running team. It's going to come down to defense. Which defense can stop the run?
And that's what I said.
Win this game.
If Northampton wants to win this game, I'm going to tell you what I think they need, Daryl.
What's that?
It's going to be hard.
What's that?
But they got to get 2 3-and-outs, just 2.
Yeah.
2 3-and-outs.
3-and-outs.
2 3-and-outs, and you can win. You can sneak this game. You can sneak it.
Yeah, and you can say the same thing for Tarboro.
Same thing for Tarboro.
Because the thing is, Tarboro last game, they won 42-0. The defense just was on point last Friday. But they're playing a better team in Northampton County. That can actually score and run the ball as well.
And people forget about this Northampton team. 2019, they were playing for a 1A state championship.
Yeah.
And all the kids on that 2019 team now are juniors and seniors.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know Tarboro likes to have that momentum going in saying we're the 7-time reigning defending state champions. But you're playing a team that's been to the mountain. They've been there.
They've been there. So
just not their first rodeo. They've been to the big game.
Yeah.
Now, they just weren't successful, but they've been there. So if you're Tarboro, you can't think we can run this team out the stadium because they got experience of playing on big game football.
Right. And that's the thing. Tarboro, this is normal for them. This is part of the season.
That's all this is
normal for them.
State championship when they playoffs begin.
Right. So this is where they're supposed to be every year.
Right.
And so this is just another team that they got to play to get to where they want to be, and which is that state championship again. So it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a close game, but I honestly think it's going to come down to defense. And we're going to have our picks later on in the show on this game as well.
Can I
But
make a
Sean,
request? Before we do our picks, can I make a request to Tarboro? If they're
Go ahead.
watching, Tarboro, next season, I don't know how hard it will be to do, but if you could get this game in your non-conference schedule, me and Darryl will either be at Tarboro or we'll be in Princeton.
Yep.
I want Tarboro to Princeton next year, and we will be there.
One of the two.
One of the two.
All right, Sean. So I think it's about that time to get that pick start.
That's correct. Keep that bus ready. The bus driver ready.
You said the bus driver's ready.
Yes, sir. Well, being that we only got one game, you know we had to eat this week, don't you?
What's that?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Getting tight again, ain't Darryl?
He said it's getting tight. It's getting tight, Sean. All right. So what's our first game, Sean?
I think our first game is the Battle of the Bulldogs. I mean, is everybody mascot in high school a bulldog?
I know it. That's what it seems like.
That's what it seems like. This game right here is a game that you got St. Paul 11-0, 6-0 in conference. They're the Southeastern Atlantic champs, and they got to go to Princeton, 12-0, 5-0, the new 6 champs. And I'm going to apologize to Princeton, Darryl. Right here, national TV over YouTube, the Grit and Ground Sports Podcast. I'm going to apologize. I said Princeton. I said St. Paul had a cupcake schedule, but I went back and watched some stuff. I said Princeton had a very easy conference. After watching them play Friday night, they blew me out the water.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. It was a good game for Princeton. They jumped on Nash Central early, and they just took advantage of the mistakes that Nash Central was making, which they had a couple fumbles, interception in the first half, and Princeton just took advantage of that. And when you do that, you cannot turn the ball over against this Princeton's team. So it's going to be a close game. St. Paul, again, they're 11-0 overall. They have a good team. We've been talking about them as well.
2 running backs down there.
Yeah. So this matchup is going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a close call as far as this game goes. All right. So where are we going next, Sean?
We're going to crank that bus up, and I think we got to ride down to Northeastern, and Wallace Rose Hill has to go down I-40, come up 95, and stop until you get dropped off in Elizabeth City.
Elizabeth City. All right. So we got what? Wallace Rose versus
Northeastern Eagles.
And that's what we talked about. So you got Northeastern Eagles coming in. They're what? 12-0?
12-0.
7-0 in the conference. They're coming out of the Northeast Coast 2A conference. They're new champs, actually. And again, they have the key players for me for Northeastern is their quarterback, Jalen Mellison, number 12. And then their running back, E.J. Gatherton, who was the Grit Player of the Week. And they also have another running back, last name Spencer. He had 192 yards rushing against Washington last week. So you have 3 players on that offensive side of the ball that can actually score and get the ball in the end zone. And so Northeastern is going to be it's a good
game. Wallace Rose Hill going to have to do just like they did last week. East Dublin was a team, the Panthers, that could put up points. They kept the game close and won 21-17. That's how you beat Northeastern if you Wallace Rose Hill.
Yeah. All right. So our next game.
I think you know what this one is, Darryl.
We got Jacksonville versus Eastern Alamance.
The Battle of the Birds.
Battle of the Birds. Now, I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I was at the Carolina Wake Forest game, and that was a guy behind me, and we was talking about Southern Nash and Eastern Alamance, and he told me then, he said, Eastern Alamance, that 3A championship's coming through Eastern Alamance.
He said, and we said it's coming through Birds Way.
And he wasn't kidding. And I understand what he's talking about because they got a quarterback down there, Eastern Alamance, Hunter Douglas. Last week against Westover, down there, Westover from Fayetteville, he threw for 286 yards on Westover. Now, Westover is no team.
That's no slow league team.
No, that's no slow league team.
And no team that walks through the park team.
Right. So what they have down there at Eastern Alamance is something special, and I think it starts with that quarterback. And if Hunter Douglas is on point as he has been throughout this playoffs, I see Eastern Alamance taking care of business on this game.
Jacksonville 10-2, 4-2 in conference play. Was supposed to win the first game, came to Hunt, beat Hunt 21-20 at Warrior Stadium. Was not supposed to win last week, but I said they were going to win, and then they were going to go to Burlington and beat Eastern Alamance.
Yep.
They won last week in Lee County 25-22. You talk about road warriors. These are your road warriors right here.
Yeah, these are definitely road warriors.
If you hear the way I'm talking, you already know my picks at.
All right, next game. We have Scotland versus J.H. Rose. Now, with this game, we had J.H. Rose. For me, that I saw, J.H. Rose is 9-4 overall, 5-1 in the conference. Their biggest win was against Jacksonville in the conference, was 28-21. But the key players for me was their running back, Grimes, Jalen Grimes. Had 125 yards against 71st last week. And 71st is another team out of Fayetteville that they played. And they beat them 20-14. These two teams are pretty similar.
That's similar.
Yeah, they're pretty similar.
8-4, 9-4, 2-3, 5-1. Mid-level conference teams that just been winning the right. All it takes is to get hot at the right time.
Right. That's all.
And both of these teams have got hot at the right time.
At the right time. And they're now in the fourth round of the playoffs. And I think it's going to be, like we said earlier, it's going to be defense, just like with the Tarboro game. It's going to come down to which defense can show up as far as the winner of this game. And
you look at Scotland, 35-13 over the 10 seed Southern Durham. They weren't supposed to win that. 41-21 over the 7 seed West Carteret. They were not supposed to win that on the road. Came to Death Valley in Red Oak, North Carolina. 29-26 over the number 2 seed Northern Nash.
Yeah. So it's going to be a good game.
It's going to be a good game.
But I think it's going to come down to defense for me.
That's what it's going to come down to, Darryl.
All right. So let's
take a look at these picks.
These picks. All right.
Let's see what we
in. So the game that we talked about in the beginning, Princeton versus
St. Paul.
St. Paul.
You got to go Princeton.
We got to go with Princeton.
After seeing them on Friday night, I'm going to believe them.
Yeah, we got to go with Princeton. I was really impressed with Princeton's offense.
Defense.
I wasn't expecting it to be like that.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but I was definitely impressed with their offense. So I think Princeton's going to be able to pull this one out. Our next game was Raleigh Hill versus Northeastern.
I think the Bulldogs going to go up to Elizabeth City and come back with a win.
I think Northeastern going to take care of business.
I just cannot get on that Northeastern bandwagon. You've been trying to get me up there.
Yeah, I've been with Northeastern all season, and I think I'm going to stay with them. Because the thing with Northeastern is you got a good quarterback. You got 2 good running backs that can rush over 150 yards a game. And I just don't see where Wallace Rose Hill has enough on defense to stop that. Now, I may be wrong. But as of right now, I'm going Northeastern.
3-8 right here. Jacksonville, the Cardinals versus the Eagles of Eastern Alamance.
Well, you know how I feel. Somebody said, again, he said 3-8 championship got to come through Eastern Alamance.
Got to go through Burlington, North Carolina.
Got to go through it. So well, I'm sticking with Eastern Alamance.
Well, you know what I say right now, don't you?
What's that?
I saw them Jacksonville Cardinals before that game. I made that pick. I picked them last week in Lee County game. I said it last week on the show. I'll say it again. Jacksonville Cardinals will roll up to Burlington, North Carolina. They don't have to make no turn step. Get on I-40 and ride all the way to Burlington till you get to the school. They're going to stun the Eagles and Eastern Alamance in Burlington, and they're going to have a nice 3.5-hour ride back home to Jacksonville down to the water, celebrating the win.
That's going okay. That's pretty bold. I still say Eastern Alamance is going to take care of business at home. All right, so
Scotland, J.H. Rose
versus J.H. Rose.
Scotland is
J.H. Rose.
I want to go J.H. Rose, and the safe pick is J.H. Rose, but after seeing what Scotland's done on the road, I mean, they're road warriors. They may even playing on the road.
Yeah,
I just think everything with Scotland right now is clicking, and when it's clicking like that, you just feel like this is one of those teams that they made to the state championship, and you go back and say, how did this team make it as a 23 seed? Then you say, well, everything started clicking.
Yeah, and I mean, everything started clicking, but you still got to play at home, and I think J.H. Rose has done enough this season. And again, it's going to come down to defense because J.H. Rose played 71st last week, 20-14. Scotland played Northern Nash 29-26. So these were both two close games. Nobody blew out anybody.
Right.
It's going to come down to defense for me and whoever has the best defense. And I just feel as though J.H. Rose playing at home is going to give them that little advantage to where they can come out with a W.
That home field advantage makes a difference.
Home field advantage every time. All right, Sean, this is the big one.
Game of the week over here in the area.
Game of the week.
Northampton Jaguars versus the Vikings, let me get it right. The reigning and defending 1A state champions, the Tarboro Vikings.
Yeah. And I think we both got the same answer on this one right here.
You said it best at the beginning of the show, Daryl, and I will repeat it. To Tarboro, this is just a regular conference game in the season.
Yeah.
Playoffs don't start till they get to the state championship.
Till they get to the state championship.
Yeah. We're in the playoffs. We playing our one playoff game. We're going to get our ring, our banner, and our trophy, and we're going back to Tarboro.
Yeah. So I think we both know that this is going to be another Tarboro victory.
Another Tarboro victory in the books.
Yeah. So, Sean.
I want to thank everybody for tuning to the Grit and Grind Sports Shows podcast. We appreciate you tuning in and want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving out there.
Thanksgiving.
And we will see you guys next week on the Grit and Grind like always, Daryl.
Do you have the grit?
Do you have the grind? We'll see you next week on the Grit and Grind.